Carole Robinson. Welcome to this edition of County Happenings, where we find out what's happening in the county by talking to someone who really knows. County Mayor Rogers Anderson.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Beautiful, beautiful day to
beautiful.
have a
It's
discussion.
May. It's May.
We don't need a singing edition of
You know,
the
my
show.
kids keep saying that too.
I know.
Even the grandkids go, Mimi, stop.
You know, speaking of May, we've got an event coming up, Memorial Day.
Memorial Day, yeah. A great ceremony honoring those who've passed in past wars or during and in their service to this country.
Janine Hinkle, our Veteran Service Officer, is organizing and orchestrating. We've got some really great speakers. The show, the Memorial Day services, will actually begin at 10 o'clock. If it rains, we'll still have it, as you remember a couple of years ago when it did rain. The chances are, though, it'll be warm and hotter.
Yeah, especially the way it's going now.
But it lasts about 45 to 50 minutes. We encourage people. We will have some chairs there, be set up for them. There'll be some tents there. The water will be provided. The band will be there playing some of the music. But overall, it's a service that we recognize and honor those men and women that have given the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah. And it's a really touching service. It's pretty emotional and moving. And usually there's new bricks put in.
Correct.
So they're the new honoree, the new people whose bricks have been installed.
And that will be conducted this year also. We've made some changes to the archives building, and there's a little different entrance, and so if it gets too warm or it gets rainy, we'll move inside and handle the facilities. But I really encourage people to come out that morning. Come out about 9 o'clock and do your visitation, because 10 bells.
Yes.
When
you're working with the military,
it starts.
Starts.
And get you a good seat. Bring your lawn chairs if you want something a little bit more comfortable than the folding chairs. And just spread yourself out and bring the children, the grandchildren.
Yeah.
So remind them at the close of the services, we actually have the 21-gun salute.
Yeah. Don't let it be a big surprise when the guns go off, because they are loud.
They are loud. Traffic will be stopped, and of all the events that I do, I probably look at that one more favorably, not because of the event, but because of what it means, and just taking a little bit of time out of our life. That's a holiday, and
it's the reason that we have the holiday.
That's correct.
We kind of forget that sometimes. It's just a day to go have a barbecue, but it's an opportunity to give thanks, basically, and say and remember, freedom isn't free.
Freedom isn't free. So mark that on your calendar. Memorial Day. It's on Monday.
Monday, May 29th, 10 o'clock at the 5 Points Veterans Park and Archives. And moving on. Speaking of getting there, we've got some new things in the works. Looks like they're already in the works now. The Improve Act.
The Improved Act was the 2-year process of improving our state roads and funding for locals. Excuse me, money for the locals in which they can use to improve their roads and bridges. They came through the legislatures this year. It was the governor's primary initiative, that and broadband.
And the gas through the gas tax.
And it was an increase on the gas tax, reduction in several others, so that it was, as they kept saying, it's revenue neutral. This tax went down, the gas tax went here, but at the end of the day, I understand that from what they've told us, I haven't put the pencil to it to see if it was revenue neutral. The Halls tax and the sales tax on some foods was dropped, and there were many things. I think 3 of the things that came out of the Improvement Act that's important, number 1 was the roads, which directly affect us. I was talking to TDOT Commissioner, Tennessee Department of Transportation Commissioner John Schroer, who is a Franklin native, that we'll see the impact in 2018 on McHatcher from Hillsborough Road over to New Highway 96, which is kind of in front of West Haven. Now, the city's got quite a bit of money tied up in that, but the state has done most of the purchasing, and the engineering has been done, so I think that you'll actually see dirt being moved in 2018.
That'll be amazing, because it's been a long time in the making. I remember, 10, 15 years ago they were discussing
20?
it. Yeah.
You're showing your age,
That's
Carole. I hate to hurt your feelings. It's been 20 years that it's been talked about, and it's really been focused for the last 10 with an urgency in the last 3
I mean,
to
the
5.
drawings have been drawn, the plans have been drawn up for 10 years.
And so that'll be a welcome relief. Again, it'll be a 2-year building program, because most people know the real issue on the extension of McHatcher, we'll be building the bridge that goes up over the Harpeth, and that just takes time.
Yeah.
The road itself, I mean, it's mostly pasture land, so that
It's already cleared. Just right through.
It's a lot easier to work on than saying go down through Columbia Avenue where they've got to do some road improvements. Franklin City does. The other road you'll see some immediate attention on in 2018 will be when they bid out the project, will be on Highway 96 leaving Franklin out by Williamson Medical Center going towards Murfreesboro. Now, some of that land has been acquired, and if you travel from Franklin, you go up to Arno Road, that's already improved. So it's really picking up somewhere around the Arno and carrying it on out.
Just past Arno, where it gets into a 2-lane highway again.
So, and again, you've got a couple of bridges. You've got to go over one railroad track, which is always an interesting scenario. But they'll begin that process. The other one's Franklin Road from Concord Road down to Morris Lane. That's going to be widened to a 4-lane road. Unfortunately, nothing was done for Hillsborough Road, for all those residents that go up through Grassland all the way up towards Green Hill. There's absolutely nothing in the budget for that at all. So that's still a long, long way.
Long way off.
And those are your state routes.
Right.
Now, the Williamson County Highway Department, under Eddie Hood's direction as the superintendent, we're addressing 4 county roads that are 100% in the unincorporated area. Now, when they run into a city, you have to do memorandums of understanding, or if they run into the city and hit a state route, you have to do memorandums of understanding. So nothing simple, but Highway 96 and Arno Road, that's the first road we're looking at. We're looking at those side roads that come in onto Arno Road. We're looking at like there's quite a bit of domestic travel living off from Highway 96 all the way over, from Highway 96 all the way over to 840. That will begin to be addressed. Actually, it's already, the engineering is being done now. And then there's a bridge over on Old Trinity that is in fact, we're in 2017, the latter part of this year. That bridge will be closed down completely, and it will be out of action probably 4 to 6 good months, maybe 8 months, as they rebuild a bridge over there that's got some structural issues. It's still safe to drive today, but it's beginning to...
We're trying to be proactive than reactive.
The concrete begins to just flake.
Flake, yeah.
I think there's a word for that, but that's my East
Flaking.
Tennessee term. Flaking, that's a good way to do it. So Linwood Way, Sneed Road, many roads are being looked at and addressed for efficiency. When I say that, we're not widening all of those roads. We're just, particularly around Arno Road over in the Page community, where Page Middle and Page High is at, just awful in the mornings and the afternoon. So try to pick up some better ways, expand over there a little bit, better turning lanes, better traffic signalization over there to get that traffic in and out.
So roads are going to be a busy topic. Well, it's been a hot topic, but now, after all the talk, it looks like there's actually things being done.
Yeah, and we owe a lot of credit to our state legislators for pushing that through because it was very controversial. In Davidson County, Wilson County, Rutherford County, Williamson County, some degree over in Montgomery County, Knoxville, Shelbyville, Hamilton County, where there's growth, where there's lots of traffic going on, lots of businesses is popping up, you've got traffic issue. You go out into the rural areas.
We got traffic issues.
Well, I consider Fairview as part of Williamson County. A lot of people don't believe that, but it is, and we are growing. But you get into the rural areas like Perry County, even Hickman County. They've got traffic issues, but not to the magnitude we've got. And so it was a real struggle for a lot of those legislators to vote for a gas tax in an area they won't see a lot out of. They'll see some work, improvements on the road, but not like the fast growing. One of the things, though, I do think that was improved on in the governor's package this year was the broadband program that's going to be put in all over the state. And what opened up the opportunities for that, we've heard broadband. What is broadband? Well, in communities like Williamson County, you got to have that fiber, you got to have that ability to communicate. Businesses that use it day in and day out, teaching our schools how we use it. But the big thing in the rural areas, you just don't have the volume that a general contractor would want to run. The government put money in it, giving it to Comcast and AT&T and some of these companies to help promote getting that high-speed fiber into these communities. If you don't have bricks and mortar being built in your community, then the next best thing is through your fiber optic networks that survive. And particularly for education, when we get homework assignments, and a lot of their assignments, some of the rural communities don't even have access to any kind of computers.
We don't have. I mean, we've got a computer at our house.
You've got snail.
Yeah, we either have
dial-up
or satellite. And satellite, you're limited to the amount of bandwidth you can use.
That's right.
And every halfway through the month, we don't have bandwidth, so we basically don't have internet.
So and I think what I was saying, I think and I'm not picking on Comcast. I mean, they're a huge conglomerate that offers a lot of services to so many people, but the volume's not there for their investment to be made back. I mean, they're in the business to make money, and you would think they're making plenty of money, but in the rural areas, the cost, the infrastructure to build those lines, either bury them in the ground or put them on the telephone poles, very, very expensive. What has opened up under this new Broadband Act was allowing the co-ops, the utility companies in your community, in my community, in our case would be Middle Tennessee Electric. So wherever Middle Tennessee Electric's at, well, guess what? They're in every home that has electricity.
Right.
So they now, as they build up their portfolio of services to offer to you and I, all of these electric companies, co-op companies, rural electric companies, whatever title they happen to fall up under.
And they are they are at the rural area, even though they're scattered.
That's right. And so now then they'll be able to bring that broadband out to your community and to my community. A lot of people think, well, Williamson County's got it everywhere. You just mentioned it. We've got all kinds of areas that's not serviced by high-speed technical equipment and lines.
And if Middle Tennessee Electric can get into it, or does get into it, that means a little competition for the Comcast and the AT&Ts who've been saying they're coming out, but they haven't come yet.
Well, they'll even, I suspect, where I live here in the county, I'm about 15 minutes away from where we're doing this taping of the show from the complex. I do have Comcast, but I also have Middle Tennessee Electric Services, so I suspect they'll be out in our neighborhood in a couple of years offering that competition against the different carriers that run with
Oh,
this
it's going to get fun.
Yeah, I would say in about 3 to 5 years, we'll see lots of ads. Who's the best
Yeah.
and who can
Who's
offer
the
it.
fastest
Right now,
and the
you know,
cheapest and
it's
Univision?
Infinity and Uverse or
Yeah.
AT&T.
And AT&T, yeah.
And you know, they go head to head with each other, and you throw in a few advertisements for different phone services, whether it's Verizon and AT&T. Now we're just going to mix them all
Oh,
up.
yeah, it's going to be
It'll
fun.
scramble time. But I think that is a big thing of the governor's proposal. And then the other thing, they reduced the taxes on the manufacturing side, which is really going to help Tennessee. Probably not Williamson County, because we don't do that much manufacturing here. We have some. We're very appreciative of that. But in these rural areas where manufacturing
That's where
is
they
the
tend
jobs.
to show up because they need a lot of land.
I don't know that I even have an idea, but I would say when they reduce the F&E taxes on these businesses, that companies like Nissan, Toyota down in Chattanooga, Verizon, get it out on that, Volkswagen, some of these companies, car manufacturers, and what they bring, Laverne, Smyrna, we don't have that kind of manufacturing in our community. We do have EPCOM, so I'm sure it'd help them, but a lot of other businesses here in our town probably not going to see the benefits of that as much because we just don't have the manufacturing side of it.
Well, we've got GM in Murray County where they'll see it.
Again,
Yeah, and they're in Murray County, but certainly close enough. Yeah.
all that helps to keep jobs here or
Sure
help
does.
jobs to grow.
Sure does.
And at the end of the day, that is very
We
important.
got keep our people employed.
Very difficult thing. Speaking of that, we are wrestling with budgets. We're keeping plenty of people employed, trying to figure out how to create. And Dr. Looney and the school board have asked over the next 10 years for about $500 million worth of new school building programs. I think it was $528 million. And we tackled the first leg of that, about $109 million of that, $100 million of that during the end of 16 and 17.
And so that's 3 new schools.
There'll be Brentwood High School, Brentwood Middle, Page. Some of the schools are adding, some are new, some are building a new campus around. And then we'll have to look at new elementary schools down in the Spring Hill area, Thompson Station area. I think there's 1 or 2. There are several new schools. To my knowledge, and when I was looking at the total building package, it was 10 new schools over a 10-year period.
10 years.
But it's that first 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's got a hefty price tag, and of course, we're all concerned about, and rightfully so, how do we pay for it? That's the name of the game. Without just blowing up the taxes so that you can't afford to live here.
Some discussion about increasing the sales tax to the maximum that state allows.
There's really just 3 options for, excuse me, I was playing Papal this weekend, and then I'm afraid I've gotten all the weeds and that a 5-year-old grandson could possibly get in. So I'm still not sure I got all the cuckleburrs out of my hair. There's really 3 ways for counties in which to raise revenue. One is through you mentioned the sales tax. We're currently at the local level. When you go to shop, you pay 9.25. 2.25 of that's local. The rest of it's all state revenue. And there is some talk and discussion about raising that from 2.25 to 2.75, 0.5. That would generate quite a bit of income for our schools to help pay off the debt. The other side is increase the wheel tax. And then
that went down in flames several years ago.
It did. It was 2007. And then the other option would be your property tax, which we had a 15% property tax last year. Nobody wants to do any of them, but you can't have a $500 million program without it. You do ask them to cut And the real cost initially is the bricks and mortar, but the heavy lift is when you start staffing
Putting those children in there.
Yeah, and you got to pay because most of the school's operating budget, about 80 to 85% of it, is salary and wages and things like that. So when you start talking about a building program of $500 million, that's one thing. But as those schools are coming online after they're finished, you put the key in the door and turn it. You got to have teachers and staff in there to address. We're at about 38,000 children in Williamson County. Dr. Looney and the staff have indicated then this, and we're in 2017. By the year, just 8 short years, 2025, we're expected to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 10 years from now, we will have another 10 to 12,000 kids. And that's increasing your current population by a third.
Yeah.
So the discussion now is, how do we pay for all that?
And there are alternatives to even education methods when you get into that.
Yes.
Which, I mean, the school board has to discuss that, but that may end up being options that they'll have to look at.
As we continue to grow, and there's no question they're moving here, we put in an educational impact fee, started in March of 2017, that when new residents move to town, instead of putting all of the burden on the existing people that live in your community, that the new people moving in are going to have to pay this educational impact fee. Over a period of time, that fee will generate, depending on your construction cost and how that fares out, it could be upwards of $15 million a year. Well, a high school is currently $60 million. Middle school is about 40, and elementary is around 30, just for the bricks and mortar. And even though $15 million sounds like a lot, and it is, in my world personally, it can only go so far. And when you build a high school, I need 4 times that. Of course, most people would tell you that, you get those that educational impact fee. That's a one-time fee.
Right.
And it's
not recurring.
It's not recurring, and that's a big difference. If we continue to grow, and this fee will be placed on homes in the cities as well as in the counties. But it's just another source of revenue for us to keep.
And if the growth slows down, that source of revenue slows down, but those kids still need to be educated.
Yes, they do.
Even if the schools, because like you said, once the schools are built, they still have to be manned and maintained, and those kids are here, they still have to be educated.
Well, and the thing you also have to remember, Carole, and I know you know this, but I'm just throwing this out for everyone's general knowledge. If you took the whole pie, the big circle, 85 to 86% of the growth that occurs in your communities within your municipalities, whether it's Brentwood or Nolensville or Franklin, Spring Hill, Thompson Station, or Fairview, the growth occurs in those cities. There is no way that the school system can adequately keep up with the number of kids coming in. When you're talking 1,500 to 1,800 children a year, I can't build buildings that fast.
Right.
I mean, there's just no way. You can't buy the land and do everything you've got to do. Elementary school takes about 18 months to get up and going, and middle and high school anywhere from 2 years, and that's when you have everything purchased, the land ready to go.
And that's where alternatives to educating kids has to come in. It has to be debated, and something has to come forth.
And homeschool offers an alternative that's not for everyone, just like public schools not. You've got private schools. You've got some virtual learning that is now beginning to take care of. Not every child, though, can learn in that environment. I don't think I would have been a virtual learner. I would have probably been hooky from that.
You would find more excuses not to virtually learn.
That's right, as a kid growing up. But I think you're right. Over the next decade or two, probably if you and I could come back in 100 years from now, we'll see education still you have to teach children. You don't come here with a set
Right.
of knowledge that's got you prepared for the life and the ventures, what we do, and the technology. I mean, look at the advancements we're making now.
And you can teach, virtual teaching. There is a teacher, but you've got to make sure that kid is seated and ready to learn when that teacher is teaching, whether it's through a computer.
In our lifetime, it's just amazing with the technology. Where you really see the advancements is in the area of healthcare. Longevity. You can now expect to live as a male probably somewhere
78 now.
78 to 80, and a female 85ish, and beyond. We all know many people that are way beyond 85 and live in a very healthy lifestyle. And a lot of that's due to us knowing how to eat better, exercise, technology, but above all, having those physicals and catching that little spot on your skin before it gets to severe. So times are changing. It costs money to train and teach those children, and
well, and we're back to the virtual, like places like Alaska, where they're extremely rural areas. They've been doing virtual learning for a lot of years. So if we can look at some of the techniques that work elsewhere and do it here, adapt it. I mean, like you said, it's not for everybody, but it is for some. And even getting some out of the schools helps.
Yes. And then you get into a whole philosophical discussion about this whole side of, well, my children are up and grown, why should I pay for it? You and I are in that. But now we have grandchildren, and I want good education for my grandchildren.
Yeah, exactly. But it's times they are changing.
They are changing.
And if we just didn't make it so darn nice to live here.
I don't know that we're going to change that.
No, that just keeps happening. Well, time is running out, but we want to remember our Memorial Day ceremony. Keep your eye on the budget and all the budget news coming up, just so you know what's coming up, and be aware that there's going to be changes in the roads coming up soon in some of the roads. Watch for signs and hit the rodeo if you can.
The time this show airs, the rodeo will be over.
Yeah, but there's a lot of other things coming up this summer. Graduation, and lots of things. So we'll see you next time. The weather will be nice again, hopefully, and have a great one.
Out of the Wild by David Harris. Sound ricochets through the valley, across the river, bank to bank. From the porch you hear the wails that sound at first like sirens. The dog rises, nervous, and sniffs and stays close. He knows his cousin's call. Just beyond Manhattan's nighttime glow, coyotes haunt these hills. In the morning, you grab the train for Grand Central while wildness sleeps in your backyard.